right, we're live. What's up, guys? Another Teach Me Tuesday. We got the Miss LaShawn Abraham,
Yeah.
Gavin Abraham. We just got the Abrahams on today's live. Wilmot's a little bit under the weather, so we figured it'd be a great time to tell you our story, our home buying story. How we've purchased and moved on forward to the home that we have today. So, Sean, let's jump right into it.
Let's do a little bit of introductions before we start.
Okay.
Just one more
All
time.
right,
One
all
more
right,
time.
all
Just
right.
one more time. We might get some new people that are new to us and may not quite know who we are yet. So just to start off, I am LaShawn Abraham. I am the sales manager and producing loan officer in our Somerville location. I've been in the business now for about 10 years, originating loans for 7. And Mr. Gavin over here is my great partner in crime, my teammate, somebody I cannot do what I do without him. So
Now, you know this is live, so
yes,
and it's
I know
recorded,
it
so
is live,
I
and I
can
mean
go,
every
I
word
can go
of
back
it.
to this anytime I'm ready.
I mean, he keeps us running.
Oh.
He's my loan partner, so he joined me about 2 years ago. So, Mr. Abraham, tell him a little about yourself.
Yeah. Before joining LaShawn about 2 years ago, I still hold an active real estate license. So I was in the game for about 4 years, as a part-time agent, would you per se. Just dealing with certain deals here and there, and working with her, and seeing how the impact that she was making on that end. I was like, oh, okay, maybe we can team up and do something great. So
ain't quite how that went, but we'll say, yeah. You thought my job was easy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it did. It seemed a lot easier from on that end than it was on the real estate side. But nevertheless, the process is full circle, and now I can help bring the knowledge on from the real estate side to the lending side, and make things happen. So
here we are, Team Abraham.
Yep. So now, can we dive into today's topic?
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about the Abraham story. So, here we are, just our story. We met in college, graduated college, got married right shortly after college, and we're living in apartments, every other year. But let's talk about what drove us to finally say, all right, let's buy a house.
Yeah, so for me, like Gavin said, once we got out of college, buying a house was like nowhere on our radar. I mean, it just didn't cross my mind at all. I mean, we generally would literally move every year so that we can get what I call, a renter special. When you was new to the community, they always gave you a discounted price for a year on your rent. So we literally was like, let's move every year. So we got tired of renting. Our rent kept going up at that time, back in 2010, 2011.
Yeah, now we talking about when rent was like $700.
It was too expensive for us. So we was like, we ain't paying this, especially went up to $1,000. Ain't happening. So we were like, let's just keep moving. So we just kept moving. But then one summer, in one of the apartments that we lived in, the air condition went out in the middle of the summer, and we were livid. I mean, they would not fix the air. They say they would fix it. It was just a nightmare. So I definitely, complained to my daddy that, rent keep going up. They won't fix our air. And he just said, well, why don't y'all just buy a house? And I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't we buy a house?
Right.
I don't know. It's not that we had bad credit or anything like that. We just honestly didn't even think of it at all. Like, we didn't know what the process was. We just
right. So would you say that was kind of the first introduction?
Yeah.
To buying a house?
Yeah, I would say that was the first introduction, really to buying it, because my parents didn't own, they owned their house, but they didn't have to buy it. My dad inherited the house that we grew up in. My mom, rented, so I didn't know anything other.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same here. My story is not that we necessarily we moved from house to house. We always lived in a house per se, but I think it was more just renting this house than renting that house growing up, and then so I didn't know anything different myself.
Yeah, I mean, so when that summer happened and the air conditioner went out, we were like,
it was enough, right?
That's enough. That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
So very similar. I'm sure a lot of people can relate and might even be going through the same thing now, right?
Yeah.
So let's now talk about what we did next.
Yeah, so after that, Gavin, we did like I would say the typical person would do. We Googled who we need to talk to buy a house, and where did that lead us to?
Yeah. So fortunately, like I know my uncle, he's a real estate agent, um, in Columbia, whole South Carolina. But we knew that we could definitely reach out to him to get guidance and what to do. So called him up, and he was like, "I got you. This is what we're gonna do. Let me get you guys connected with one of the lenders that I trust. I got a program. They got a program that is phenomenal. Definitely gonna be beneficial for you guys. So the great thing was there was a program, the CHIP program with BB&T back in the day, before they became Truist. And it was
it's like a 100% no
finance,
money down,
no money down
type of loan, and so that was perfect for us because we were first time home buyers.
Didn't have much
we
money
wasn't prepared
saved,
to buy a house, so we was like, yeah, sign us up.
Yep. So and again, a lot of situations that a lot of people are in right now, didn't necessarily have any savings or like you said, we weren't prepared. So great program for us. So we went out. I mean, guys, I think we might have looked at two.
I think we only looked at two because we didn't have now that I think about it, I mean, we didn't really have like a list, because we didn't have any kids. So it wasn't like we had to stay in a certain area at that time. It was only two of us. So it wasn't like, oh, we had to have all of these bedrooms. So we were just kind of like just a house.
Right. So, I mean, just so happened, we happened to come across this one listing, I think 1,300 square foot, three bedrooms, 2 baths. Had a garage.
Yeah, at the time it was only like what $120,000.
Yeah, our first house was like 123.5.
Yeah.
So
and it was a short sale.
Yeah, and it was a short sale, so it was like we were like, okay, we can jump on it. Now, what sold me on the house, of course, it had speakers in the ceiling, but that's another story for another time. But nevertheless, we found our home, put in an offer. Our realtor, my uncle, did negotiating. And we got the deal that was best suited for us. So here we are in our home. I think we stayed in that home for about a stretch of 5 to 6 years. And over that time, of course, life happens. We're now more involved in our careers, starting to elevate a little bit, make a little bit more money, and we're growing our family. And now here we are. All of a sudden, decided to move. What brought that about?
I would say so. I guess kind of based on what you're saying here in our journey. So we pretty much stayed in our very first house somewhere between 5 to 6 years. And so at that point in time, I was starting my career as a loan officer. And so I think I became more knowledgeable, more educated of just about the market and the industry. And then we started paying attention to our neighbors and people around us, people selling their houses and just the different prices of the houses going up. And so knowing what I knew about a little bit about equity and things like that, I'm like, this may be, a great opportunity. We didn't specifically had a reason to sell our house. We were just like, oh, well, we bought it for the 123.5, but we see other people around us selling their houses for,
I think it was like 170, 180.
Yeah, somewhere and sometimes higher.
Higher than
So
that.
we were like, well, we could make a good little profit if we sold it, and that would definitely allow us to do some other things. So why not?
Right.
Why not? And so we, at that time, because I was already working in the industry now, I knew a couple of real estate agents. And so we kind of did something called a
market analysis.
Yep, a market analysis. So the realtor that we used, shout out to Michael Waits.
Oh, yeah.
He sold our house. He looked up comps for us. He kind of told us what we would net. And so the journey kind of began from there. We were able to just really take advantage of the profit to do other things.
Yeah. Now, in talking about profit, so we immediately, I guess, kind of put into action what we're going to do with this equity. I mean, we were able to consolidate. Well, not necessarily consolidate it, but pay off debts. I mean, we paid off for your student loans. We paid off your car.
Yeah.
So we minimized our monthly debt.
Yeah, a lot of our bills and stuff that we had
with that equity, and then we had to now turn around and find a new home, right?
Yeah, so we also used that money to be a down payment for our next house. That house that we found, we loved that house, but we wanted to kind of customize it and make it our own. But because we sold our house and we made such a great profit from the sale of our house, we was able to use that money to change our floors,
all hardwood floors, all hardwood floors,
and do some other stuff.
Yeah.
So make it all fancy.
Yeah. So I mean, that was and the thing was when we first bought our first house, we didn't know any of it. Like we knew we just wanted to get in the house because we
Yeah.
were tired of renting.
Yeah.
We didn't know the
true impact that it will make on our lives.
Mhm.
And when we teach our first time home buyer classes and things like that, we love to tell this story because to me I think it's powerful. You know what I mean? So I think about it like this. We have a 401k. We invest in other type of investments and things
Mhm.
like that. But to me, when it comes to home ownership, I don't. None of my other accounts have gave us this type of return on our investment
Right.
in such a short period of time. I mean, if you truly think about it, I mean, we only own that house 5.5, maybe 6 years.
Mhm.
And like you said, we spent 123 for it. We sold it for 180,
Yeah.
175, 180.
Yeah, I think 180.
But here's the kicker: we didn't owe 123 when we sold it.
Right.
We
So
owed
so I think really
maybe 100.
Yeah, a little bit, maybe 100 or less, a little bit under 100.
Yeah.
But we ended up like netting, I think like maybe 80 or 90,000.
$90,000 just from literally, and I tell people this, literally living in a house.
Mhm.
We didn't
We didn't do
we
no
ain't
upgrades.
changed carpet. We ain't paint.
We didn't do nothing. And
we already had a fence, so
we already came with a fence, so we did nothing to the house.
No.
Maybe I mean we did a little landscaping.
Yeah, we did some landscaping
to help sell the house, make it pretty on the outside. But literally, guys, we did nothing, and we made $80,000-$90,000 just by living.
Yeah.
By simply paying your monthly mortgage, putting in and that being your piggy bank. Pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
So that's another key point of why we are so passionate about doing this, because we've experienced it, and we've experienced the impact that it's been, the changes and the opportunities it's given us. So why not educate other people and help other people?
Because you think about it, it's financial freedom.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because to be freed up to say I ain't got no student loans, to be freed up to say I ain't got no car payment, to be freed up to say you're not tied to these things that weigh you down, and all you did was buy a house.
Well, that's it.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
All right, so let's talk about now. So here we journeyed through the first home, went on to buy a second home.
Yep.
And we use that equity to pay off debts, all that good stuff.
Yep.
So now here we are in our second home, happy. We're living, doing things. Our family's growing. We got our firstborn, and here we are. Yeah, we were pregnant in the house. We had our second child.
Oh yeah,
in the house
second
before,
house.
right?
Yes.
So
but let's think about it. So we were smarter, wiser. We knew a lot more. So we knew, and this was the time when COVID was, really, really starting to peak off. I mean, a lot of people either lost their jobs, or for the real estate market industry that we were in, it was thriving. I mean, during COVID, everybody was buying a house. It was kind of the thing that was just unforeseen to think that the real estate market would take off the way that it did.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we started seeing, and we knew now that we learned something from our previous experience, like, oh, we really can leverage real estate to earn, a higher return on our investment, and to do other things that we didn't even think that was even possible.
Right.
Not this quickly. So when we started seeing that, so we was like, okay, we were bored.
Yeah. So let me tell you this, guys. Don't make a daily ritual of going to get your favorite ice cream and just driving around neighborhoods.
Correct.
To waste time. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start looking in these neighborhoods and you're like, oh, you know what? This is a nice neighborhood. Much nicer than mine. I can see myself living here. And you see riding past people, they waving at you.
But I call that having a vision. We visualized ourselves.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have had no vision if we would have been at our house just doing what we're supposed to be doing instead of out getting ice cream, driving around,
looking at houses. So
lo and behold, we had some friends that was in the neighborhood that we live in now. Beautiful neighborhood. And again, we would just ride around the neighborhood. Again, we weren't in the market looking for a home. Mm-hmm. But as we were driving around, like, oh, this is nice. We can see ourselves here versus where we were at, which was still a nice and convenient location. But we're like, maybe we can buy a new house. We never bought a brand new house before, so maybe we can build one. So,
and all they had to take was me being we both are accounting majors. Well, my bachelor's is in accounting. He has his bachelor's in accounting, but he also went off and got his master's and stuff as well.
yeah.
But anywho, I'm a numbers person. So I was like, well, let me calculate some numbers here and see how could we really do this. If we sold our house for this, what could we make and what could we do? And so the numbers fit. We got out the car, walked in the office.
And next thing you know, we're signing paperwork, guys. We putting down payment for our first brand new construction home.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was kind of breathtaking to kind of have that feeling like, man, we really can do this.
Yeah.
And the reason that we can do this is strictly from the decisions that we made early on.
Yeah.
Being able to pay, because we would have still had certain debts that we weren't able to pay off from the sale, from the sale and equity that we built in our previous homes.
Yeah, and we only stayed in our second home maybe 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
And we sold it and did the same thing. Took the money from that house and then used it to build. I wouldn't say this is our forever home, but we'll be in this house for probably a good 10, 15 years because we really love it. And so we can kind of talk about that, the difference from, going from a starter house to, your in-between house to actually building what could be a forever home if you made it. It was different from buying pre-existing and actually doing custom building because we couldn't truly,
pick out. I mean, we knew that we can really make the determination of the floor plan, how we're going to use. Because so a lot of important decision making came into getting this new home, because actually our new home is like maybe 100 square feet less than our old home.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
and
but it was better use of the space.
But it was better use of the space. So I mean, the other home, we utilize a loft as an office and stuff, but now we truly, in our new home, we have a designated office. We did have a designated space for where the kids play. It's no more shared areas like, hey, we got toys down here in the family room. No, you got your toys in your designated area. So you got to think about those things. And of course, we weren't thinking about that when we first bought our first home. We just knew that we were tired of renting. We weren't going to do the rent thing no more. And we just wanted to get into a home. And like I said, a lot of you guys are in that same position right now, that you're tired of renting, you're tired of rent going up. And to stabilize and normalize, your what you're spending on living, your best route right now is to go with a fixed mortgage, because you're going to know what your payment is, monthly. It's not going to be any changes.
Yeah. And I will also add to that, because we get asked a lot of times, especially just being honest, where the market is right now. I mean, rates are on the higher end, than what they have been in the past. I mean, the prices of houses are also on the higher end, versus what we talked about, what we spent when we first bought our first house.
Yeah, huge difference.
And so a lot of people are always kind of on the fence about, where I'm going to wait, or is it the right time to buy? And our answer will always be yes. And not just from a standpoint of your payment. I mean, yeah, you may pay a little bit more right now, just theoretically, just because of where rates are and just we're in an inflated market right now. However, the return on the investment that you're going to make, you can't put a price on that. You know what I mean? Like, you will get a return on the money that you invest in real estate. And so to me, that's the key. If you're trying to figure out a way to continue, your wealth building journey, to provide that generational wealth for your family, to create legacy, to have different things that you can leave for your family. To me,
real estate is it.
Real estate is it. I mean, that will always be our our theme song.
Right. Yeah. And then now, I mean, the great thing about it is, we learned along this way, and probably we should have been doing things quicker than what we have been, but it's always a great thing to now make the decision to, I'm not going to just no longer make the attempt or do the things that I want to do. So now we've been talking about investing for the longest. And we're finally, now in the contract to purchase our first piece of land. And then, next step, we want to find an investment property. So we're finally now making those strides to, get off the fence, not necessarily be afraid, but not being unaware of the possibilities, because people are out here doing it.
Oh yeah.
And I want
to be busy.
yeah, we're busy because people are out here doing it, and we're busy. Thankful to all our referral sources. So definitely want to give y'all a shout out, because it's nothing without you guys. So definitely thank you to all you guys.
Yeah, I mean, so that's our story. I mean, it's short and sweet. I mean, we bought. I mean, for us to be 36 years old,
35.
You'll be 36 soon. So for us to be 36 years old, have owned 3 houses, purchasing our, next investment property. I mean, real estate has done us very well. I mean, we have definitely understood, the process, and we learned a lot of lessons along the way. And I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, we didn't know it was a learning curve, but now that we know, we're able to continue to improve upon that journey. And so we just want to share that with you guys. So if you guys are ever wanting, to get started with the process, I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you.
No, not to cut you off, but one more tidbit, because we in our new home, we also, as a means of tapping into our equity, because we also have folks that are tuning in that already own homes. So it's like, well, we're not looking to sell this house right now, because we're happy where we're at. But we know we're sitting on a good bit of equity because of home prices shot up here recently. So you know what we did? We went out and got a HELOC. We got a home equity line of credit.
Yeah.
And the sole resource and purpose for that is to be able to now maybe use some of the equity in our home to purchase other properties. It's
because I guess to add to that, if we're going to go there,
just real quick, not too long.
I mean, the reason we did that is because, once again, we are in tune to the market, and we kind of see the changes that are happening. So because we already owned a house, and we saw around us what the other values of real estate was doing. I mean, we had this house currently now for maybe a little over 2 years.
Yeah.
And in literally 2 years, our house has appreciated over like $150,000. We didn't do nothing.
All we did was buy a home. We just made a decision to build a home.
That's it.
We did it at the right time. Unknowingly. But just being willing to, to make a change, or to go out on not necessarily on faith, because it's not faith. You're making a good decision. Have faith in the process, but you're buying real estate, you're making a great decision. So it's not anything that you have to second guess. You're going to get the return on your investment when it comes to real estate, because land is scarce, and there's only so many places people can build. But what's not scarce? The business of making babies. So there's always going to be more and more people being added to the population, and they got to stay somewhere. They got to live somewhere, and everybody wants a piece of the American dream.
So yeah, I mean, that's it for us. I mean, if you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. You can reply, or post your comments or questions to this thread. After we end the live, you can reach out to us directly. If you're watching it from Facebook, then you have our Facebook information.
Slide in my DM.
And then we do have a YouTube channel now, so we are going to be posting this video to our YouTube channel. So please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. It's All Things Mortgage with Team Abraham. So we love doing this for you guys. We love giving back and being a resource to you guys. So that's all I got.
Yeah, man. Peace.
Teach
me Tuesday.
Bye. Wilmot, I hope you feel better next time. Bye.
Yeah, brother.